The art world and the art market has been part of a bubble of its own, and it's actually really interesting to look at it in relationship to other parts of the economy. It has been very interestingly unregulated, and I think that the government and any financial regulators have not been really interested in paying attention to it, because it has become kind of like the play toy of the very wealthy, and doesn't seem to really bother any other aspects of society by itself, So the art world has enjoyed this kind of bubble of non-regulation, which has resulted in things that can be very surreal to those that don't really belong to it, which could be like a 20 million stuffed shark, that goes for sale, or a 100 million diamond crusted skull, like the piece by Damien Hirst. Those indeed are effects of the market that don't bear necessarily any relationship to the extent or the impact or our historical significance of a particular object. People are kind of relieved that we have reached again a moment of reality, that art will not be necessarily governed by money, and art making and money have played like this kind of marriage in recent years. That's a marriage of convenience, but I think the art, and I think many people agree with me that art really does suffer when the financial dimension is a predominant element in the equation. And we should learn also from places where there's no art world. And what I mean by that is there's places in the world where there's no vinyls, there's not major museums, there's no major collectors. Sometimes there's not even commercial galleries around. And then there's still very interesting artists. And because art is made not out of financial kind of enterprise, but it's made out of a very personal and sometimes existential need. So one of the things that I predict is going to happen more with the art world and the art making process is that it's going to be much more socially engaged. Is that artists are going to be in greater dialogues with themselves and with the public, and it will be a more modest operations. We will see much less of these extravagant public art projects, and art more and more has been characterized less by the materials it uses than by kind of like the process it follows. Definitely, I mean, there will be much less. We won't see diamond encrusted skulls, of course. But I mean, at the same time, I don't think there's going to be so many shifts, so many dramatic shifts. I mean, painting will continue to be made, sculpture will continue to be made, photography will continue to be made. I mean, all those aspects, and it will be done with more modest means, But it will not be so much. What it will definitely be is like it will not be so much about the slickness of the presentation, and it will be much more by the substance of each one of the works. We have kind of adopted in an interesting way the mode of the artist becoming the entrepreneur himself or herself. The phenomenon that had been taking place in the last few years is that the artist more and more was becoming like the corporation, like a one-man business, and galleries started feeling a little bit displaced by the artist as an enterprise. So, some artist studios, well, major artist studios like Damien Hirst, like Olafur Eliasson, they have like a whole teams of people that do PR for them, that do theorizing for them, that of course do the production, and they do like every single aspect, practically a museum. That's kind of like a model that kind of emerged, kind of as a byproduct of this kind of like a huge financial growth that the art world experienced. I think that's gonna shift again, and it's not gonna be anymore about the artist brand name, but it's gonna be much more about a group of ideas that is like kind of shared by a group of artists, and it's gonna lead, I think, very in a very like, thankfully, to an age of collaboration, and an age of greater dialogue. I've always felt that the art world has a very difficult problem with humor. I feel that we are very afraid of humor per se, if it's not outright irony or sarcasm about, or cynicism even, about society. And the art world has a very hard time like looking at itself, in a very critical way. Or what happens is that when you, that we, those of us that are in the art world, we critique the art world, but not including us in the critique, always like seeing it as some kind of entity that's like amorphous, that is out there, and you're not included. Yet almost like we have like this very righteous way of seeing ourselves in terms of all cultural values and liberal values. And definitely I think like that in art, as in popular culture in general, satire is a very powerful tool. And I think also historically satire has become kind of like a very important escape valve, to kind of like address like the social issues that we face, the identity crises that we have, and the contradictions that we engage in as a society, and that's why I think it's very important, and I find it's an important time to do it. Who knows if it's going to be the right time a year from now? There's already like a much more modest approach to partying, and now it almost doesn't feel appropriate, to kind of like do this excessive kind of like display of wealth. I think we're entering a new phase where it will be much more reality based, and I think, yeah, it will feel good. We'll feel much more connected to reality.